Greetings everyone, this is Carol from Chocolate Crafts and Bears Oh My, and I bet you wonder what's going on here. Well, I'm making fake candles, and this is it right here. And it's got just a battery operated tea light from the dollar store, and these are made out of toilet paper rolls and paper towel rolls. And my husband came out here this morning, being the comedian he goes, well, do we have to use a lot of toilet paper this weekend? And I said, no dear, I've been saving up. So, yeah, if you're a crafter, you save these things because you use them. You can make mini albums out of these little toilet paper rolls and many other things. I've used them to make spools. So let's get started. This actually is a tutorial from my friend Nancy. She is getting married on Halloween, and she bought the candelabras from Michael's, and she can't have real candles, so we're making these to go in there. She needs 70, so we split them up. We're each going to do 35, and I'm going to show her how to do these. You're going to take your toilet paper roll, and to make it look like a candle that's been burning for ages, you're going to go ahead and tear some apart. And as you can see here, I did tearing on two sides, and some I did like this. So yeah, I'm going to tear a little bit off of this side as well. So I have two different types. So now I've got this. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut it up the center, because I am fitting these to the tea lights so that we don't need to stuff them with paper or anything like that. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on here. I'm using Aleene's Fast Grab tack glue because that's what I have, but anything will do. And then I'm going to fold this over. And let me tell you, not all toilet paper rolls are alike. Some are longer, some are wider, all kinds of stuff. Some are thicker, some are thinner. So, when you get that done, when you fold it over, you're going to test your tea light. And if it moves up and down like this, you're perfect. You don't want it tight, and you don't want it loose so that it falls. You want it so that it will move. Now, I'm going to advise that you put this, whatever you have lying around that fits inside here, in there. Because once you start dripping hot glue, which is what we're going to do, you don't want this to fall over and get burnt. Because hot glue is very, very hot. I've been burned many times. Not doing this, unfortunately, because I heeded my own advice and did this. So the first one that we're going to drip is going to be the longest one on the candle, because we're going to cover up this seam and get rid of it, and it also helps secure it. So what you're going to do, and I'm using a Black & Decker hot glue gun that belongs to my husband. I will advise you to use something that is easy on your hands, especially if you're going to do a lot of them. I had done a few with this, and this was too small of a glue gun, and my fingers were numb after only making 5 of these. And so I advise you to use something that'll make the glue really hot and really flow. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the tip, you're going to place it to the very top. You can rest it on there if you want, and you're going to start pumping that hot glue to get it to start flowing and dripping. Okay, and you can see I've got that right on my seam. Then so you don't get the stringers from the hot glue, go over the top of your paper, toilet paper roll, and just wipe it off. Like, it's good for two purposes. It gets rid of the strings, and also you want to build up this outside to look like a candle. So it helps to build that up. So you can see I'm right about here with the drip, still moving ever so slowly. I want to be right about here. And so I'm going to take my nozzle and I'm going to put it right here at the biggest part of the drip, and I'm going to give it a little bit more. Go ahead and pull this up and over because I had a little string. What happens is as the glue goes down, it pulls the string into there and it melts it. It just adds it to it. Excuse me. So here I am. I'm almost to where I want to be. So I'm going to just put a little more dab. Not too much because I don't want it to go all the way down. If it goes all the way down, it's fine. It just adds more character. Alright, and then what we're going to do now is we're going to put our first layer of drips on this. Your first and second layer should be your longest drips. So sorry. I'm losing my voice. Okay, so I'm going to start about 1/4 of an inch away from there. You don't want to get too close because the process of this is layering. You want to layer. So you're going to put drips all around this, about 1/4 of an inch away, all the way around the first row, and then you're going to set it aside and let it cool. You want it to cool completely before you put your next layer on. That way the glue will not meld together. You don't want that. You want to create drips. So I have various stages. I'm going to set this aside. I have various stages of, that's what these rows are, of the process so that you can see. I know that these are the ones that probably have cooled off the longest in the back because I keep pushing them to the back. So here I have one with one layer. So I'm going to put my second layer on, and remember your first 2 or 3 rows should be your longest drips. So that's going to use the most of your hot glue. And I'm hoping that you can see this and that the light in the window isn't bothering it. So I'm dripping, and I'm going in between the drips that I've already made and adding to this. And I guess I can go, I'm going pretty fast here. So want to mention again that I go to the very top, I pump up a puddle of hot glue, then I take the tip and I go over the top of the toilet paper roll to remove that little string, and also it builds up the edge of that to look like a candle. Okay, so I'm going right along here pretty quickly, and so I'm going to finish this one so you can see it. Alright, and this is my last drip. So now I have 2 rows of drips on this. Okay, and you will notice as you're building it up, it's starting to get thicker and thicker. This one already has 2 on it. So what you're going to do is, if you can see this, I'm going to take this out of the way a little bit. Okay, that's 1, 2. This one has 2 rows on it already. And what you're going to want to do for your 3rd row is go where you have blank spaces, as long as it's 1/4 inch away. Okay, so that will make your 3rd row. So I'm going to put this back in line so I know where I'm at. And I'm going to go to one that I have 3 rows on. This one has 3 rows of drips. You see how thick it's getting? Okay, I want my top. If you'll see this, I have a pretty thick top. It looks natural. Once this is painted, it's really going to look really natural, like a candle. So I want to build that up. So after I have 3 rows, I want to take and put just a bead of hot glue around the top of this toilet paper roll. And then I'm going to build up the rest of my rows from there. So that's after 3. You're going to put a line. Okay? So when that cools, it looks like this. So I have 3 rows and a bead around the top. So I'm going to check this out and see if I like my drips, and see maybe I want a long drip right here and I didn't get one. I actually have 2 drips right there together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my glue gun and I'm going to put it right here and right underneath that drip, and I'm going to make one, and I'm going to bring it up over the top, wipe your thing up there, and I'm going to make one right there just because I think that's going to look good there. Okay, so now I'm going to add row 4, and I'm going to go in between. I'm going to go in between here and wipe my tip off. And any place that I see some gaps, make sure it's a quarter, at least a quarter of an inch apart, because you don't want your rows to form together, because then it'll be just a mass and not these pretty drips. Okay, so this is row 4 on a toilet paper roll. Okay, and when you do the big one, let me talk about the big one because I don't think I did. This is probably the 5th time I did this video this morning. We just happened to have a gazillion phone calls, a lot going on. My son was going to work, and we're planning tonight's activities. A bunch of us are going to go to the Jacksonville Suns for a double header tonight, and we were making plans on that, so it was busy here this morning. So here we are. We've got now 4 rows on there, so we're going to set it aside and let it cool. Now this one here probably has a good 4, I think this has like 5 rows on it, and you can see all the drips. This really only needs maybe 1 more row on it. So what you're going to do is you're going to look for like gaps. So we're going to put one here, and these don't have to be as much glue as your first 3 rows. You're going to have smaller drips as you go to the top. Okay, and then I've got a bunch of ones that are the same there, so I need just a little small one here. And then there's a gap here, so I can put a little bit more glue and let that one drip a little more than the others. So you can use your judgment of how you want this to look. You can either put little pools or big pools as you get to the top, making sure they're like a quarter of an inch apart. Even if you have to do even 7-8 rows, that's fine. You just don't want the glue all together so that it's dripping. Okay, and I think 1 more on here. Be careful of the hot glue, you don't want to get burnt. 1 more there and 1 more here. And so we're going to let that cool. Alright, while that's cooling, let's talk about the toilet paper roll. On the candelabra, the center candle is going to be larger than the other 4 that surround it. So you're going to use your paper towel roll which is what this is. And this is 6 3/4, but don't measure it that way. You can, because no candle is perfect, you just want to take your paper towel roll, put your toilet paper roll up against it, and then cut it. And then you can use the bottom section for another candle. So that is it for this part, because I don't want this to be too long. We're going to do the painting on these next. I'm going to show you how to paint it and how to antique it. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.